Stay tuned for the April show of Eye on the Storm, where we're going to have a special guest with us, Brandon Bias, to talk with us about recruiting. We're going to cover the spring sports and more coming up soon. Welcome to the April edition of Eye on the Storm. I'm Jeff Lanham, Athletic Director, and as you can see, our host normally, our Sports Information Director, Randy Payton, is not with us today. I'm hosting, and along with me is Brandon Bias. He's going to be filling in, I guess, for me today. I'm filling in for Randy, and we're going to have our April show. So, Randy is not with us because he's working. He is actually at Heidelberg College. He is with the softball team who traveled up there today to play Heidelberg, and I guess is doing some play-by-play up there at Heidelberg. Yes?
Yeah. So I guess I have big shoes to fill if I'm filling in for you. So.
It's something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting, and we talked just briefly about that. Coach Hammond is our head softball coach, and it happens to be that he got a game canceled today, and lo and behold, Heidelberg was open, so they said, well, let's just go play Heidelberg. And there's more to this story because Coach Hammond's daughter is a freshman starting second baseman at Heidelberg. So there was some discussion in his family on what they were wearing to go to the game. I really don't think there's going to be much red and white. I think it's going to be a lot of black and orange for Heidelberg today, which is okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay. But, you know, at the end of the game, they're going to be wearing the losing collar.
There we go. Okay. he's going to try to be easy on them today, right? All right. Well, getting started with our show, as we said, Brandon Bias is with us today, and we kind of want to talk a little bit about your past and how maybe just give us a quick, this is your second stint with us here at Rio.
Yeah.
So you were with us first as a graduate assistant. So give us a talk about it.
I first came here as a graduate assistant for the women's basketball team. I was here for 2 years. I ended up staying for a third year and staying on as the assistant women's basketball coach. And then I had the opportunity to go to the University of Pikeville, where I went down there for a year and was an assistant women's basketball coach. And then I was very fortunate to return about 2 years ago to the University of Rio Grande, where I started in as a admissions representative. And then I was, staying out of basketball wasn't in my future, so I got back into coaching, and I'm also now back with the women's basketball team as assistant women's basketball coach. But women's coming here to be a graduate assistant really opened doors for me, not just in basketball, but other job opportunities, which I currently have with the university. So I'm happy to be back, and I get to do a lot of the things I enjoy now for different departments.
Yeah, and it's been a good journey for you. You were involved in high school basketball prior to coming here.
Yep.
So what you were the varsity coach? What high school?
It was Buffalo High School. Just
not far from here.
No, I mean maybe 45 minutes from here. I coached there for
Toyota.
Yeah, the Toyota plant. So
yes.
everybody's going to know where that's at. But I was fortunate to have some good seasons, and I used that to get a interview with Coach Smalley, and the rest is history, and puts me back here for a second time, and it's just a great place to be, and a place I look forward to having my son around.
Right. So it's great seeing him around the gym.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest place in the world to raise kids. I did it myself, and it's really a fantastic opportunity. So you are with our women's basketball, and now you are also an admissions rep with the University of Rio Grande, which was something you had not done prior, other than just the fact that you'd done recruiting, for basketball. So describe with us now, you kind of took on a new role this year with us, that you are a liaison from admissions with athletics. So maybe give us an explanation of what's happening with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've always had, you have admissions, you have athletics. Those two are the front face of recruiting for the university. They're bringing students in, and we didn't necessarily have a connecting factor. When I talked with Jeff, obviously the athletic director here, and Christy Russell, the admissions director of admissions, we wanted to just kind of mend that bridge and have somebody that connect both so that we know what our right hand's doing and our left hand's doing at the same time, because the ultimate goal is for both those departments to bring in students. And where I have a good connection with the athletic staff and already working in admissions, it was a no-brainer for me to be the person that kind of bring those two together. And we're in the early stages of the athletic liaison, and with the help of the coaches and the admissions department, we're hoping that that's going to be a bright future for us.
Yeah, and it is. We're pretty fortunate to have you, pretty fortunate to have the position that we've got going on. And, and like I said, the journey that you've been on, you grew up in Boone County, West Virginia. And where did you end up going to undergrad?
Well, I'm from Boone County, West Virginia, which is probably 2 hours from here, down in southern West Virginia. I went to West Virginia State University, which is even closer to here. It's probably only an hour and 20 minutes from here.
Participate in sports there?
Well, I played tennis.
Okay.
Yeah, I played tennis. Yeah, look at me. I was a little bit slimmer back then whenever I was playing tennis. They're like, was he the ball boy? But I played tennis there. I just really enjoyed it. And then, I was coaching high school while I was finishing my bachelor's degree at West Virginia State. And then it's funny because the men at the time, the men's basketball team here had had a graduate assistant by the name of Jeff Williamson, and he was from Boone County. We went to high school together. We played buddy league together. Whenever I reached out to him about coaching college basketball, he's actually the one that linked me and Coach Smalley together to get me here. And oddly enough, I get here and he leaves. I'm like, hey, thanks, man. But it was one of the best conversations I ever had, was getting in contact with him and him linking us up, because coming out here to Rio Grande was one of the best decisions I've ever made, and it's just like home to me. I mean, it's I'm used to having the blinking lights and those stoplights.
Sure,
we don't even have blinking lights where I'm from. He's stop at your own risk.
So, I mean, with that, and you and I have kind of talked about this just a little briefly. I would say that you grew up in Appalachia, West Virginia, without a doubt. And you're good at what you do, Brandon. You're good at recruiting. You're good at involving people. And reflect a little bit about how that kind of background, your heritage that you've gained from being in Appalachia, how is that helping what you're doing today?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that I was meant for this type of job, recruiting, sales, all of this. I just like playing sports when I was growing up, and my grandpa talks more than me if that's possible. And I always like, man, that guy talks a lot. But whenever I started getting older and to go off, I was probably getting those same comparisons. And where I come from, the term "you never meet a stranger." They said that to my grandpa all the time. I just, I really didn't know what it meant. But when I got older and people started saying it around me, I knew that you'll just go up and talk to anybody. And from a recruiting standpoint, when I came from high school to college, the hardest part, or the thing I had to pick up on, was recruiting, because it's illegal to do that in high school for most programs. And so I didn't have like the ins and outs of what you're doing to recruiting, but I was, the one thing I could fall back on was I could go up and talk to anybody, and they respected that, and I was up front with them. So when I got into coaching in college, recruiting, I just picked up on it. I thought I did all right, but then when Coach Smalley talks about all the former assistants he have who are head coaches now, and told me that I was probably the best recruiter of them all, I took pride in that. Then, let's remove myself. I was here. I went to University of Pikeville. I come back. So then I get a job in the admissions. I look at the criteria. I'm like, I think I could do that. And then I start going out and recruiting, and it's just back to the fundamentals of recruiting for basketball. You get to know the person, be up front with them and be friendly. Get to know them. Whenever I talk to them, know their mom and dad's name, know a story that they told you. Mind you, my travel area is Central Ohio and all of West Virginia, so that's thousands of people I'm talking to each year. But at the end of the day, I know that whenever you go up and you have that conversation with them, they're going to respect that, and they're going to in the end like that, and hopefully come to the University of Rio Grande. And I was fortunate enough that first year to get many emails about how much they liked having me at their school and they want to have me back. And then I was nervous. I was like, please don't let me be bad at this job. But the cool part about it was women's basketball each year. I'm trying to bring in a roster of 25 to 30 people. When I got switched over, it was like an unlimited pool of people that I could pull from. Now I'm recruiting 200, 300 people.
Right.
And I'm trying to bring the best students to the University of Rio Grande. I take pride if I get somebody with a 30 ACT.
Right.
That's bragging rights around the office. So I took the way I was raised and where I grew up and just brought it to the front of my recruiting, whether it be for admissions or basketball.
Well, and you're good. Like I said, you're good at what you do. So without going into great detail, give us our future of what we're looking at. What are some of the goals that admissions has? Kind of talked about the goals. You briefly mentioned it.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring in 30 girls and
Yeah.
for fall of
Yeah.
2019, and I think we've already met that goal plus. And so what's some short-term, long-term goals that we're looking at in admissions office?
Well, the admissions, we're always looking to bring as many students as possible because, obviously all of us selling it have graduated. You have Emily Thomas and Sierra Smalls. They both have graduated from Rio. So we know the product that
You're
we're
a graduate
going out
from the master's
from the
program.
master's program. I received my master's from here in athletic coaching leadership. But we all love the place. So when we go out and sell it, I think that's your best salesman you can have out there. Saleswomen, however they want to say it.
Yeah.
But when we're going out there, we're selling the product. And the thing is if we can get you to come on a visit to the University of Rio Grande, I believe you're going to come to school here because that's what sells itself is the university and the people on the campus. But our long-term goal is to work with athletics, make sure that we're helping fill all the roster spots that needs filled. If we start new sports, let's make sure we're getting those filled fast, and just getting people on campus. If we get people on campus, they're going to come to school here, and that's
it is, and I've been here all but 10 years of my life here at Rio, either growing up as a youngster or working for the last 30 years, and there is something special about it, and it has to do with that one thing, and it's the people, and that's what makes it special here. It really does. So always a challenge because what are there 51 other schools in the state of Ohio with higher ed? There's a lot. So and that group is shrinking, so it becomes more challenging for everybody, and everybody's out for that same person. And like you said, if we can. We're a unique place, and that if we can get somebody here on campus, I agree with you. I think we're going to be in pretty good shape with it. So.
Yeah, we're very unique, and again, if they come here on a visit, they are very likely to come here for school just because of their experience.
Certainly, yeah. Well, Brandon, thank you, and you're going to stay around with me. We're going to continue our conversation here. I wanted to bring up. I just returned as the athletic director. I'm involved. I am the chair of the athletic directors of our conference, and I'm also on a ADA, Athletic Directors Association National Board that meets every year at the National Convention. We just had that convention here in the middle of April, and I wanted to just touch real quick about a couple things from that NAI National Convention, some things that affect us in recruiting, and this is the interesting one. Two big ones. One is if we have three requirements that you have to meet 2 out of 3 requirements. One is an 18 on the ACT. This is to be eligible to participate in sports. An 18 on the ACT, a 2.0 overall GPA, or graduate in the top 50% of your class. Well, one of the new legislations that was voted on was that if your high school transcript does not have a top 50%, which many schools are moving towards that now, to where they do not show that on their final transcript, and they don't do class ranks anymore, many of the places, that you can take 9 hours at any higher institution anywhere in the United States, online or whatever it is, and have a C, then you can be eligible to participate your freshman year. If you only met one of the 2 remaining ones, if you had a GPA, didn't meet the ACT, and do not have a class rank, you can take those 9 hours. That's got to be a game changer for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, it sure is. And for the recruiting aspect,
Yeah.
for basketball, I now know that I can go and get a student that we thought would have to redshirt for an entire year, and now they can come in, either they can possibly get it done in the summer or have them for the fall, and definitely get them for the second semester. That's a game changer.
Right, which leads to the second legislation, which says that you can now become eligible in the middle of the school year. So if you don't meet 2 out of those 3 requirements, GPA, ACT, or class rank, you can now take 12 hours the first semester you're in school. You receive a C in all of those 12 hours, you can then become eligible for the next semester. So if you're in the fall semester, you could be eligible to participate in the spring. For winter sports, you could utilize that. Definitely a positive for golf, for bowling, for baseball, softball, and men's, women's track and field, both indoor and outdoor. So that's another game changer for us, and that's part of what is unique about the NAIA, and that's what, in comparison to that other organization with the blue dot, we don't say those words. Like it's like the school up north. We don't say that. We don't say those. That's what makes us unique, in that we really are about the student athlete experience, and this is to help our students, to help our student athletes. We've shown that just because you don't meet 2 of those 3, it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful in college. And so we're showing that, and now we're responding to that. I think it's a big positive.
Yeah, it's super positive, and I couldn't speak highly enough about the NAIA. I was very undereducated about it before I came and started coaching here, and now knowing what all it stands for and how much it's for the student athlete, it's another easy sell when I'm out on the road talking about our athletics are part of the NAIA, and I take pride whenever I explain what the NAIA is and educate people on it.
Right, and it's a good future. I think we've got a lot of good things going on. Another real quick, we talk about a return on athletics, where there's a whole financial segment with the NAIA to help us to make better decisions about adding sports and adding numbers and all that with all of the institutions. So that's going to be something that we're going to be working with admissions, definitely involved with that. All right, moving on to some of our spring sports that we've got going on. Baseball, overall 32-17 right now. They are 16-8 in the conference and tied for second, 2 games back of IU Southeast. IU Southeast is always in that realm of who's there. We hold the tiebreaker on IU Southeast. We beat 2 out of 3 of theirs, and we hold the tiebreaker on IU Kokomo. So we're hoping that we play this weekend. We play West Virginia Tech this weekend on Friday and Saturday, and if we can sweep them, and if IU Southeast can lose 2 out of 3, we would tie for first place, which would mean we would win the tiebreaker, which is big because that's an automatic bid to the national tournament. So a lot of things are going to happen this last weekend. So we're hoping for no rain and moving on. Now, during Saturday's game, we're holding. I think we've got a thing coming up holding a blackout.
Melanoma.
Sorry, I couldn't see it. I can't see it over there on the screen. Well, and what this is, what we're talking about, between the two teams, between baseball, Rio and Tech, coaches have got connections with melanoma. And it is, they're going to have, Dr. Blodgett's going to be there. He's going to pass out awareness handouts talking about sunscreen, going to pass out sunscreen to everyone, and just making it an awareness of what's going on with melanoma. And that's big with these outdoor sports. Coach, I was talking with Coach today, and he's saying it's not only athletics, but it's farmers and people who are outside a lot. And we just have to be aware of that. And I think it's a positive thing that they've got going on. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime you can bring awareness to anything, it's positive.
Right.
And everybody looks up to athletics, so what better way to bring notice to it.
So we have the conference tournament starting at Chillicothe, the VA Stadium, on May 2nd through the 5th. We hope to be the #1 seed in there. We had a Player of the Week. Zach Harvey, again, was the Pitcher Player of the Week. He had a career-high 14 strikeouts against IU Kokomo and is tied for second nationally in the NAI with 11 wins. And he's got some multiple opportunities to break more career records at the University of Rio Grande. He has had an unbelievable career and is moving right along. I'm just really happy for him to be moving in that direction. All right, softball. We got softball coming up here. We're 29-11 in softball, 15-1 in the conference. We got beat at home a couple weeks ago. That stopped. This is unbelievable. It stopped a 41-game home win streak, which is just phenomenal when you think about that. In fact, it was Coach Hammond's first home loss he's ever had as a Rio Grande coach. This is his third year as a coach.
We're going to have to look into getting rid of him.
Yeah, something's wrong with that.
You cannot lose.
So they are the #1 seed. They did clinch the regular season, which means they clinched the automatic bid to the national tournament, so they will be moving on to the national tournament. We also, I mentioned earlier, they're at Heidelberg today. Conference tournament starts May 2nd through the 4th at Vienna, West Virginia, where I will be there. I will be actually running that tournament. I'm the liaison with the softball league, and so I will be there. We have another Player of the Week, Taylor Webb. Taylor Webb is a freshman outfielder who is just having a phenomenal season as a freshman, batting over 300. She is I did see this. I saw her hit to the right field across the creek down at the softball field. Now that's a shot.
That's pretty impressive.
That is a shot. So her father is the athletic director at Sims Valley. He attended Union College, where I went to school down there. It's from Sims Valley. So that's kind of a neat connection that we've got in there. And so congratulations to Taylor for her win in the conference Player of the Week. Track and field has got championships coming up here on Thursday and Friday. It's actually hosted by IU East, and it's going to be held in Eaton, Ohio. It's at the high school there at Eaton, Ohio. So we want to wish them luck. Men's golf just concluded their season in the conference tournament they finished 8th in the tournament last week. We had an individual who did very well, who's considered now on the first team. He finished tied for 3rd. That is Jared Lemaster, a sophomore, and Coach Wilson is really looking forward to some people returning. He's got some new guns coming in for next year. He's pretty excited about this. We are so young at both men's and women's golf that it's going we're going to look forward to that future coming in. We've got the women's golf is starting next weekend. Actually begins Monday at Belterra is where both are played over in Franklin, Indiana. And so it's something. It's a beautiful course over there. and it's hard. It's a tough course. It should be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what golf is about. Are you a golfer?
I am, but every course is tough for me.
It doesn't
I
matter
go
where
to
it
a
is.
par 3 and it's tough for me. Can't find my clubs either because if I whiff one, it's going flying.
I got you. We also wanted to kind of follow up with men's bowling, who did finish 12th in the NAIA national tournament in Topeka, Kansas, which is another great feat for them as a second-year program. So again, they're bringing in a ton of kids next year, both men's and women's golf, and Coach Little and Coach Carl, they do a great job, and so it's important to keep these new, young, immature programs to get them to where they're flourishing and people want to come and be a part. That's part of it, right?
Yeah, and they're in the early stages, so it's great to already see some success in the first couple years.
Absolutely. Sunday, we want to finish up today talking about what's happening this Sunday on, I've got two things. April the 26th, is that right? No, it's the 28th, sorry. April the 28th, it's a Sunday. At 7:30, we hold a Champions of Character celebration where we provide awards for our student athletes throughout the year. This is a first this year. Our Student Leadership Council is completely taken over this award ceremony, and I think that's a good thing. If it all turns well, it's great. If it all turns bad, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be great. It's going to be fine. We're really looking forward to it. Our seniors, the kind of a last time to celebrate with them, and the idea of want them to leave Rio with a good feeling, and that's important. As an admissions person, then we've got to come back with the alumni, after that. So it's all this is all connected, really good.
Absolutely.
Now the last thing, and I'm going to finish up, on Tuesday, April the 30th, we hold what's called the road trip graduation, and the reason we do this is because of tournament play. Baseball and softball cannot attend graduation on May the 4th. So we do a special ceremony just for them on Tuesday night in Line Center, where they're actually going to receive their degrees and go through the whole ordeal of the ceremonies. And parents are welcome, friends are coming, and so it's going to be a pretty neat episode. Did you get to go to that last year? Would you?
I did not get to go to that last year, but I got to do that. I think that was started a few years ago.
A couple years ago, right.
I got to go to one. It's awesome to do that for the students.
Yeah. So, and it's important. It's important. So, okay. So that's all the time we have. For Jeff Lanham and Brandon Bias, we want to bid you farewell to the April edition, Eye on the Storm.